And good evening. This is Late Night Parents. Usually it's Late Night Parents Live, but not tonight. As we're all parents, my kids have a combination of the strep throat and conjunctivitis, otherwise known as pink eye. So I couldn't do a live show. So the two great guests that we had lined up for tonight's podcast will be on the May 4th episode. But even better, the real star of the show, and before I get started, this is Ted Hicks. You know the Twitter handle, Real Ted Hicks, or Late Night Parent. And you know the ways to get to the show on Facebook and the website, latenightparents.com. And I'm excited, as usual, because one of my brethren is on the line right now. So happy to be back on the airwaves with him, at least this way, because I had the privilege of rocking a mic with him for close to 2 years. 2 years down the dial. My brother in BSS, none other than Bucko Bruce. Bucko, it's a pleasure to have you, brother.
Hey, man, the honor's all on this side of the table, sir. It's always good to chop it up with you and you know, reconvene as we used to do every Wednesday. It feels good, man. How you doing? Other than the actual late night parenting issues you're having to deal with, how are you, sir?
Other than that, life has been good, blessed as always. I got to ask you, I mean, before we get into football and everything else like that, what's going on with the family? How's the baby? How's life? You've got so much to be grateful for because with, the gig and everything, a loving wife, and your family expanded recently. Well, how's life treating you on that end?
Everything really, as you said, man, I truly am blessed, man. You know, going through the rigmaroles of closing on a home, to be in the home, and to grow together and get a puppy and all the American dream with the white picket fence, man. We're living it. It took quite a long time to get to this level, man, but through patience and prayer, man, and good people behind me, I was actually able to get it done, man. I have no complaints.
Definitely. Congratulations on the new house, homeowner. I forgot about that part. You the new homeowner. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So that is great, and it gives me another place where I like to travel the globe that I can call home. I can lay my head, and I'm telling you, I'm going to be in Georgia soon. And I think offline, you and I are gonna have to sit down and map out some dates. Hopefully, when the Mets is down in your area, because I wouldn't give it.
Well, why do you want to come down here and take advantage of my Braves like that? See, already starting on the wrong foot, Teddy. Starting the wrong.
Come on, man. But like I said, rock the mic with you. And the one thing is that game called life. Even after we stopped rocking the mic, we still stayed in touch. Whether it's a text or a phone call, that's real brotherhood. And I will tell you, I wish the cameras were going. The first time you and I physically met, and I walked in that bar in Smyrna, and I was like, Smyrna? What the?
Yeah. The home of the Braves, baby.
So now that we got all of that out of the way, I think the real reason, to have you on, because I think there's something called the NFL draft that's right upon us, and I don't want to just paint you in the corner of NFL draft because you're a quarterback connoisseur. Bucko, I got to tell you this much. I'm in awe because when we rocked the mic, you taught me about Teddy Bridgewater. You talked about Jameis Winston. You talked about all of these players that before they came into the league, so I got to give you props on that.
I pride myself on my eval. I appreciate it.
Yes. So, Mike, what's his name? Mike Mayock?
Mike Mayock, the worst. The worst. Don't get me started on that list.
Oh, my goodness. So, before we get into football, well, because I think the podcast is called Bucko Knows Football. I don't want to put you just into the NFL draft. I got to ask you a non-football related question.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world is going on with the mass exodus at ESPN, that four-lettered network that we would never want to mention on our show a few years ago? I mean, there's so many names. There's too many names to name. Over the last 48 hours, you can add Mike Tirico and Skip Bayless to that list of, from Oberman to Bill Simmons and all the above that has said, you know what, sayonara, I'm out of here. What's going on there?
Well, in regards to Skip Bayless, he's absolute trash. He should not have been offered money to be at ESPN. But no, I mean, the fact of the matter is, as you've seen with guys like Bill Simmons, as you've seen with guys like Colin Cowherd, who really try to be outside-the-box thinkers and try to push the envelope. The Disney network, the family-friendly ESPN, wants you to walk a narrow line. They want you to toe that line and conform your artistry to what they think is suitable. So that there's really no amount of money, especially when you've amassed the amount of money of a Tirico, of a Skip Bayless, that would allow you to compromise what you really want to do with your craft to stay there. I mean, it's just plain and simple. Skip Bayless, say what you want about him. I'm not a fan. I always think he's just a guy that says stuff just to get a reaction. He's not really an analyst. He's not really doing any research. He's just a guy, okay? But he's the one that originated First Take. He's the one that brought Stephen A. over there to get that going, so I will give him credit there. But guys like Bill Simmons, guys like Mike Tirico, who are versatile, who have a powerful voice, who wanted to sort of buck the system of what ESPN's conformity restrictions do, they said enough is enough, and they're both going to have mass success where they go. Skip Bayless, I don't think, will do well, just like Colin Cowherd has probably the worst ratings on afternoon radio since he left ESPN. So I don't think success will be imminent, but it's a matter of they want you to conform. Hey, this is how we want you to deliver your product. I think that's so unfair, and why we've had such a negative taste in our mouth regarding that four-letter network, and it just continues to show you.
That's true. I just got to piggyback on a few things. I think for Tirico it's NBC, and for Skip Bayless it's supposedly they're all following Jamie Horowitz at Fox. But, it's a different platform over at Fox. It's a totally different platform. And as much as we bash the four-letter network, their platform is second to none.
Yeah. So whomever negotiates their contracts in their sales department, quite possibly the best branding machine ever. The only brand in America, or for the world for that matter, that I think does a better job would be, say, Apple or Nike.
Yes.
You have to put ESPN in that class that they brand and they market and they lock up mega deals like nobody's business. So I will tip my cap to those guys. But the production side of it, the content side of it, the PR guys,
right,
they can all kick rocks. They are watering down and ruining what is the freedom of radio. Sports talk radio is supposed to be guys on there with different perspective, different views, arguing and debating sport and life, not having the same vanilla take and just reporting the news, but opinionating and voicing that regarding what's going on. I mean, personally, I don't listen to very much talk radio anymore because that's how awful it is. I'm a podcast guy now. I'm listening to Late Night Parent. I'm listening to Bill Simmons. I'm listening to Bomani Jones, who I think is a race baiter, but is a fantastic analyst of sports. So, either way.
I want to get into, really quick, Mike Tirico. I think that's a unique deal. I think the amount of skill set that's with that man, with him going to NBC, I think hands down probably the best deal out there right now, maybe outside of Simmons' production deal, because you look at Tirico. He's tennis. He's golf. He's football. He's Olympics.
He's a golden voice.
I mean,
NBC now has the two best commentators ever of all time in Norv Turner. Am I saying? Is it Norv Turner? What's his?
No. Al Michaels.
No, not Al Michaels. The Marv Albert.
Oh, Marv Albert.
The guy that bit the prostitute on the back.
Yeah.
Marv Albert and Mike Tirico.
Okay.
My two favorite play-by-play guys. I mean, they don't need a stat sheet. They know guys' names and numbers off the back of their head, and they're so fluid with mixing casual conversation and the play. Like it's amazing that ability. That's something I've always wanted to do. That was my goal in life, was to reach that level. It never came to fruition. And Tirico's one of my idols, man. He is so smooth and so fluid in every single sport. He brings, like, if you're listening to him on the radio, he brings it to action, man. You really have to respect that guy's craft. And for ESPN to let something like that walk away with the dynamic of him and Gruden together on Monday Night Football,
right?
How do you replace that? Who are you going to bring in? You going to bring in Dennis Miller again? I mean, what are you going to? Why do you muddle when something's great? Why do you not allow it to continue over bitter protocol? I don't get it. But that's what happens when you are the conglomerate that they are.
Right.
You get that feeling yourself a little bit too much. We'll make another Tirico. And it's like Jay-Z said,
right.
Some say they made Hove. Okay, so make another Hove. You ain't going to make another Tirico. It's not going to happen. So it's going to be hard watching Monday Night Football without Tirico there. I have to admit that.
No, you're so right. I think with ESPN, it's the brand versus the personalities, and the personality I feel gets too big, and ESPN says, well, you know what, we've made you. Go ahead, you can go out. You might come back, and
no.
You know, but I don't see it with the Mike Tirico. I just look at someone as talented
I don't.
as that.
That's a guy of moral and principle. I guarantee you, it's not about the money with Mike Tirico. I will bet my mortgage on that fact right there.
Don't be surprised if you see him shoring up NBC Sports Radio. I mean, I'm sure his deal goes across TV to radio to digital, you name it.
Yeah. I mean, ESPN better be careful. I mean, that brand is strong enough to handle controversy. Yes. They need to forego some of their PR restrictions and understand that, a guy like Mike Tirico can convince other networks to be able to bid strongly enough and grab a Monday Night Football, grab a Sunday Night Baseball. So you really got to be careful.
You do have to be careful, and I can see. Here's the last thing on Tirico. He's definitely going to be over there for the Thursday night package of games. But I'm sure Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth have to be shaking in their boots a little bit, because you bring a name like this, one of them might not be doing Sunday Night Football.
Well, no, you got to look at Al Michaels and his age and his. Right. He's starting to get that Pat Summerall slipping a little bit. Al Michaels has been great since the 70s. He has done his time, but you see it starting to slip. Yeah. You see it starting to go. He's got to be, 60, 65, 66 years old? He's getting up there.
Older than that, Bucko. I think older than that, but hey, I want to ask you this question. So you see Fox Sports is grabbing all these different sports personalities. I don't know if they're trying to build a Fox News over there, but the sports version of it. What's your expectations from Fox Sports? Like, are some of these guys going to be bleeding?
All they're trying. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no. I'm just going to say, do you think these guys are going to bleed over to the NFL shows, or what do you think?
All they're trying to do is give an alternative. Because you hear, we've said it, and you hear from most logical-minded, regular thinking people who actually know sport, and just want some solid information, they get tired of the ESPN agenda. ESPN wants to push something down your throat like a Tim Tebow. Like, they want to push it down your throat and make you believe what they're saying. Whereas the stronger personalities at ESPN that weren't contractually agreeing with what ESPN was trying to make them do, they're going over here just to provide a different avenue, a different logical outlook. And I'm thankful that there is something else, because that FS1 version of SportsCenter is quite good. They're trying to make jokes like the old days, like with Dan Patrick and Michael Anderson and those guys when they would try to make funny out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It provides a different perspective, a different outlook. I am personally sick and tired of Trey Wingo and guys like this with their so vanilla, boring, aspect. Give me some content. Give me an opinion. Give me a non-walking the line view of things. And I think that's what Fox is going to do. Obviously, their branding is not strong enough, especially being that their news section is so far conservatively right-wing that naturally people associate everything Fox as either Simpsons or extreme right-wing political nonsense. So it's going to be hard for them, but if they can get some actual sporting events, like they're locking in some stuff with UFC, and they're locking in some stuff with soccer, if soccer takes off, FS1 has got the stranglehold on that. You know what I mean? So they're trying, and I give them effort. And I give them applause for their effort, but I don't think there's anything you can do with the Fort Lauderdale. They're just too strong. Too strong.
Hey, I want to go into the draft. The draft is about to happen, NFL draft. I'm a novice. I was always a novice. When we did the show together, I was like, hey, I'm a fan. And you guys always gave me a pass. And I still am a fan, but you guys always knew what you were talking about. And I just kind of look back and I marvel at it years later saying, damn, this guy knew what he was talking about. All the way. I just thought you were just, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about. But no. A lot of credence to it. So I'm going to say, Bucko, you got your GM, your VP hat on. You got, I'll start right here and just say, the first two picks. You got the Rams, who traded away the farm, and you got the Eagles that traded away the farm. Yep. We'll get into them trading away the farm and whether or not, a great idea, win now, or, change the franchise around. Picks are 1 and 2. Everyone's talking about Goff and Wentz. Who's going 1? Who's going 2, and why?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much obvious at this point that Jared Goff is the most finished product. Like when you look at the tape, you look at a Cal Berkeley team that was depleted of talent. I mean, they can't get a recruit over there to save their life. I mean, if you really seriously watch the tape, they don't have anyone on that team that's draftable. Anybody at any position, period. And Goff was making stuff happen with people hanging off his back. Now, while I still don't think he's going to be a great NFL player, he's the best quarterback in this draft. Carson Wentz, big kid, good athleticism, good arm, shows some of the intangibles that people like and has a ton of confidence. But, I mean, North Dakota State, the Division II program, don't quote me on this, Teddy, but I think the guy missed 7 games during his career when he was a starter, and that team still won all 7 games even when he didn't play. You know what I mean? So, let's put it in perspective. It wasn't because of him they were winning.
Got you. Oh, my goodness. So, if you're Jeff Fisher, and historically, it's been shoved down our throat. Jeff Fisher likes that big quarterback that can move, 6'4", 6'5", 235. We've seen, the late, great Steve McNair. We saw Vince Young. That's the type of mobile type of quarterback he wants.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stop you right there. Rudely, I know, but I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let's not give Jeff Fisher credit for any of the quarterbacks that he drafted. Let's go back in history. He did not want Steve McNair. Even made Steve McNair sit on the bench when he came in. He did not want Vince Young, spoke vehemently against them drafting Vince Young. Yeah, I don't know if you recall this, but his Wonder League score was probably the worst in history. And he spoke publicly about he was against the game and naturally jettisoned him out the league. Steve McNair, when he still had 3 solid years of great play in him, just let him walk to Baltimore 2 years after being in the Super Bowl. But what are you doing? The guy is a 500 coach for a reason. He's a bum. He does not have the power. The GM does. Les Snead, who obviously outside of picking defensive linemen doesn't know his butthole from his elbow. He's pointless. But I don't want anyone giving Jeff Fisher the credit because he doesn't have he has openly said he doesn't do that. He sets aside and lets the GM be a GM. He's not the coach GM. He's not Belichick. You know what I mean?
I got to get off topic for a second, Bucko, because I've seen it on Twitter and all different forms of social media. How does Jeff Fisher, I think he's coached 20 seasons, and he has 6 winning seasons. How does a guy like this survive in this, like, win-now type of society amongst those billionaire owners?
Well, he's had more than 6 winning seasons, but he's only made the playoffs 6 times.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
His career record is like 1 game under 500. You know what I mean? He's like 140 and 139 and 1. It's awful. I mean, the fact that he has a job, I can't answer that question. Because you know me, man. I'm one of those rare, very rare people when it comes to racial situations that can speak and hold his own without coming off pretentious. And me being a Bucs fan, I had to field several questions and commentary regarding the firing of Lovie Smith while Jeff Fisher gets a 4-year extension.
Right.
And you asking me as a white man to justify that to you, and I tell you, what do you want me to tell you? The Rams are stupid? I can't help you. When a guy is known as Mr. 500, or my buddy Bruce Brooks from Memphis, Tennessee, the only Rams fan that I actually know, calls him Field Goal Fisher. He would go for the field goal on 1st and goal if he could. The guy, he must have naked pictures of Stan Kroenke and his wife or something. He has something to hold over that club for having a job and receiving an extension. I cannot, for the life of me, understand how they received 11 draft picks on the Robert Griffin trade, and only two of those players actually did anything of merit. The team is whiffed on every draft pick, and he has made coaching error after coaching error after coaching error. Now, just because you can beat teams that are like the Bucs and you can battle within your division and win 7-8 games every year, that doesn't make you a viable coach. But what he does do is he gets the most out of his players. That makes sense. He is a motivator. He's able to get the players uplifted and play beyond their self. But the strategic part of it, the input of true good head coach is able to input his personnel staff, his scouting department, and everything, and assist in the proper selection of proper players and build a team. That's the difference between guys like Belichick, guys like Andy Reid. The good coaches out there, they have a say in who their team is. Jeff Fisher's like, hey, just give me what you got, and I'll coach him. That's it. That's it.
Bucko, I'm telling you, you are the absolute best because you give it straight up. I mean, that's the one thing I always say about you. Let's go back to. You totally took me off my game right here.
My bad.
with the draft, who's your sleeper pick?
My sleeper pick? I think probably the best player in this draft that no one's really talking about is Sheldon Rankins, the interior D tackle from Louisville. He is a beast. He reminds me of Warren Sapp. He is phenomenal. He's going to go within the top 20, and whoever gets him is going to be happy. But no one's really talking about this kid, about how great he really is. Everyone's talking about DeForest Buckner. Everyone's talking about Joey Bosa, which, granted, those are fine players. But Sheldon Rankins, man, the guy's a monster. You're talking, 6'1", 295 pounds, and extremely strong hands. Like, just go watch some tape on him if you guys are bored, want to figure out who's good out there. Go watch a little bit of tape of Warren Sapp, and then turn on the highlight reel of Sheldon Rankins. And the guy is a beast. He really is that good.
So I guess my follow-up question to that, and you answered some of it. I was going to say, who are the studs that right out of the gate that are going to be, first 3 or 4 games in the NFL that are really going to make some noise?
The only 2 guys, there's only 2 in this draft that I can guarantee. Well, I'm gonna take that back. There are 3 guys. 3 guys in this draft that I guarantee from day one start and make an immediate impact for their team. And there's Laramie Tunsil, which a lot of you guys have heard his name on the mock drafts and everything. You probably didn't know much about him at Ole Miss, but the guy started 28 games at Ole Miss in the SEC and never gave up 1 sack, not one. That's incredible. That guy can't miss. He is that good. Jalen Ramsey, Florida State, yes sir. He is he's the next Ed Reed. He is a great safety or corner. You can play him wherever you want. My opinion is you let him just roam the field and do what he does, just like Baltimore did with Ed Reed. Jalen Ramsey is the best player in the draft, in my opinion. But number 3 would be a safety from West Virginia named Carl Joseph. Safeties don't typically go very high. Ramsey is that special of a guy. He's going to be in the top 5, which I don't think has ever happened in the NFL draft, like ever. The safety going in the top 5. So that's how special he is. But Carl Joseph from West Virginia is a monster. I compare him to a guy like Brian Dawkins, where he's fast enough to cover you, but he will knock your damn head off at the same time. So those are my 3 can't-miss guaranteed studs. The rest of them, they all have great production. They all have accolades, but I can't guarantee you greatness. Those 3 guys, I will bet my life and my name on their greatness.
So I want to run it back and talk real briefly about the Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles basically mortgaging their futures.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some people are saying, oh, it's ingenious. Some people, very quickly you can point back to, the Rob Griffin III trade. Mm-hmm. Why? Tell me. I understand it's L.A., it's this, it's the time is now, and I can scratch the surface and say, with Howie is just asserting himself as the VP of whatever. But why in the world would you do that? It's like you're rolling the dice.
Yeah. What it is, man. The rookie salary cap has made it to where quarterback is God. You will go ahead and give up whatever because you will still be able to get that quarterback, but you're only paying him $6 million a year. Now you're fully guaranteeing it. You're fully guaranteeing it, but it's still far cry from the $60 million guarantee that Sam Bradford got. You know what I mean? So it makes it a risk worth taking, and for guys like Les Snead, guys like Howie Roseman, who have to save their job, they're going to take that risk more often or more easier than, say, a guy like John Elway, a guy like Bill Belichick will, because they've done nothing but poop the bed with their drafts. Go back and look at, Chip Kelly took over full autonomy and power because Howie Roseman drafted a linebacker that was graded in the 4th round with the number 17 pick. Marcus Smith was a linebacker at Louisville that was graded to go in the 4th round. They took him number 17, and he has notched 3 tackles in his 2-year NFL career since they drafted him. Okay? Stuff like that is why Howie Roseman said, hell with it. I'm getting a quarterback. I don't care that I just guaranteed $26 million to Sam Bradford. I don't care that I just guaranteed $10 million to Chase Daniel. I'm going to go ahead and guarantee another $30 to another quarterback. They're going to have over $60 million of guaranteed money to quarterbacks when this draft is over with. Howie Roseman and Les Snead are two of the worst GMs in football. They're just trying to do something to say, hey, look, I'm trying. But
hey, I want to go to the flip side, Bucko, and say, give me your top 5 GMs or / VPs that are calling shots. I mean, we all know Belichick. I mean, we all know that much. And he's probably
number 2.
He's
number 2.
So I'm going to step back. You go from 5 to 1.
All right, now, number 1 is clearly head and shoulders above everybody. And if you disagree with me, I'll challenge you. Hit me up on Twitter at BuckoBruce83 if you disagree with Ozzie Newsome is the best GM in football. As far as contracts, as far as draft picks, he's batting about 800, which is remarkable. Okay, then you got Bill Belichick, number 2, and it's really, really amazing with him because he had every member of his scouting department is scoured, by my team included, for teams' GM jobs. I think there's 5 different teams in the league that have GM positions filled by former scouting department of the Patriots. Right. So you got to give credit there. So it's Ozzie Newsome, Bill Belichick, Ted Thompson with the Packers is right there with them guys because he never signs a free agent. Every single member of the Packers was drafted by Ted Thompson. You know what I mean? I think they have 2 people on the entire 53-man roster that was not drafted. I mean, that's unheard of. Okay, then number 4, I'm going to put Elway up there because you have to look at the draft that he had in 2012 where he drafted 4 complete stud players that all just got paid by somebody else. Malik Jackson got $100 million. Danny Trevathan got $60 million. You know what I mean? That was one draft. Those 4 free agents that they lost, that was one damn draft. So he can do it again. They have 11 picks. They can do it again, and I believe in Elway. And then finally, my last one to round up the list, he's not even a front office guy. He's a head coach. But Andy Reid is one of the best at scouting their players and having an input on the draft and coaching up those players. Look what he's doing, Alex Smith, for Christ's sake. I'm going to put Andy Reid right there.
You're right. You're right.
That's
valid.
my 5.
That's valid. I'd take your 5 up against anyone else's 5. I'll tell you that much. I guess we got to get into the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's been lingering around. There's a stench. It's been here. We've been smelling it. It's like, hot garbage during the garbage strike, during August in Florida. I'm going to tell you that much. And it's the whole Brady DeflateGate. I mean, are you as sick of hearing about this as everyone else? I mean, follow-up question is, will the NFL owners reduce it to 1 or 2 games, or will it stay at 4? Those are your 2 questions.
That's never happened in the history of the league, ever. Have the owners overturned the commissioner's decision? And for the second part to that point, the owners and the players both agreed to give this power to Goodell.
Right.
When we mad at somebody, we mad at your damn self.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, guys of that ilk, you know what they were doing? They were fighting for the ability to not be franchise tagged twice.
Right. Instead
of making a committee decide these things, you gave that autonomy to Goodell just to get what you wanted for your pocket. So Drew Brees coming out making public statements about how much of a crock it is, you're the reason it happened. You hypocrite. I can't stand that stuff. Excuse me. It's making me angry. Look, Tom Brady should not be suspended 4 games for knowingly or unknowingly allowing the air to be taken out of balls. That is ridiculous. But it's the fact that you sat there and you tried to show up King God Roger Goodell. We all know he's a nuisance. We all know that he is a problem for this league. And you tried to show up and throw egg on that man's face. You know what I mean? You publicly humiliated Goodell by having your suspension overturned and playing the entire season. So if you think any leniency or any kind of negotiation is going to take place, I'm sorry. Tom Brady, you should have just bit the bullet and took in a 2-game offer they offered you last year. You wanted to try to put a middle finger up to Goodell. Oh, if it's F Goodell, it's going to be F you. I guarantee that. And you'll see it. And that's what you're going to see. Yes, am I tired of hearing of it? Yes, absolutely. But do I love seeing Tom Brady suspended for 4 games and the Patriots having to scramble? Oh, yes, I love it. I love it. I love the fact that they don't have a pick in the first round. I love the fact that their God incarnate Tom Brady is gone for 4 games. I love it. I'm sorry.
My goodness. No, that's good. Hey, something that's not as fun. It's more. It's tragic. It's a tragedy. We're watching it play out, and it's the Johnny Manziel story. It's the he's the only person I know in the last 4 or 5 years that's been let go by multiple agents, but they're all saying the same thing, brother. You need to get some help. And so my question to you is, yes, it's tragic, but does I'm going to say it this way because I think he wants to be referred to as Jonathan. Does Jonathan Manziel play another down in the NFL? And if so, then why?
No, he will not. And I got to come at you, Teddy Two Teams, for calling this a tragedy. I don't sympathize for this millionaire spoiled little baby doing stupid stuff. I can't help it. You got handed a golden ticket and wiped your butt with it. I don't feel sorry for Johnny Manziel. I'm not going to call him Jonathan. No, you went and trademarked Johnny Football. You are Johnny Football, and you are Johnny not playing football ever again because you're an idiot. Okay, did the agent leave Greg Hardy? Did the agent leave Pac-Man Jones? Did the agent leave all these habitual offenders? Did the agent for Josh Gordon leave Josh Gordon? No. Those agents are still with those players because they know they're going to be still back in the league. They're going to have another chance at earning them potential paycheck. Johnny Manziel is finished. Johnny Manziel is an idiot. He's a spoiled rich kid that does not adhere to any advice or any guidance in any way. And he was a marginal NFL quarterback to begin with. I told you during the draft that he was, Teddy Bridgewater's the best quarterback. Johnny Manziel ain't nothing. I told you that.
You did.
So
you did.
No, I don't feel sorry for that guy. He's a punk, and he's getting what he deserves. Oh wow, I'm sorry, that was a huge lightning strike and thunder just right here. Wow.
Oh, okay. Hey, so on the flip side, will we ever see Ray Rice or possibly Greg Hardy again?
Greg Hardy, yes. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay. That little interview he did. Kind of set him back a little bit. That was stupid. He had no business going over there and basically blatantly lying to the people that he did nothing wrong. We already know that he did throw this woman on top of a bed of loaded guns. They found him guilty. They just couldn't proceed with that guilty because she refused to cooperate any further.
Right.
So we already know you did it. So to sit there and go on here on a 20-minute interview and say you did nothing wrong ever makes you look like a narcissist punk. But Dallas' defense was atrocious last year, defensive line-wise, as far as rushing the passer. He was double-teamed every single play. But if you go back and look at the tape, he created havoc 80% of the time he was on the field. He was in the backfield. He was making stuff happen. So I do think with pass rush and defensive line being the priority it is in this league, yes, he's going to get another shot at a very low dollar amount. But Ray Rice got caught on video knocking his woman out and dragging off the elevator. You are never going to play again. Ever. Sorry. Rightfully so, too.
No, rightfully so. I mean, I just remember that when that whole interview came out with Greg Hardy and with Adam Schefter, and you kind of sitting there saying, okay, why are we doing this? Why is this being done? Is this all for ratings?
No, it was a guy who has nobody and the PR department telling him, hey, do this, do that. You know what you want to do? Go sign up and donate your time and money to the Battered Women of America shelter or some kind of association helping single mothers of domestic violence. Do something like that. Don't sit there on the TV and lie to millions of people that you did nothing ever. We're not that stupid, Greg. We're not that stupid. I think that's the only reason he's not signed right now. Because coming up to the draft, you would go ahead and sign that guy at an incentive-laden contract, knowing that you can go have more flexibility in the draft by having Greg Hardy locked up.
That's true. That's true. Hey, I got to talk a little Jets. You know, I would always slip in the Jets during our Wednesday show a few years ago. And question number one about the Jets is, will they seize the moment? There's no Brady. There's potentially no Brady for 4 weeks. Will they seize the moment, or will they be the same old Jets?
If anybody can, it's your Jets. I really love Todd Bowles and the way he had that defense playing after the season that Rex Ryan had with them, where they underperformed and underwhelmed. The way he made that defense play last year, yes, you guys can do it. And it's just a matter of will you. With Geno Smith as your starting quarterback, no. He won't seize anything. Period. No, you won't. And I honestly think that Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't the guy either, because you had every opportunity to be in the playoffs last year. And what do? You turn the ball over 3 times to a Buffalo defense that had been giving up 30 points a game for the past 4 games before that. So, no.
You're right.
I think the answer is very simply in your face. And there was discussions, there was rumors about this, and then it just kind of went away. And that kind of leads me to believe it still may happen. There's a guy in Tampa by the name of Mike Glennon who actually is a decent quarterback. And with that group of receivers you have, an offensive line that you have, and getting Clady to naturally step in for DeBrickashaw, smart move. You go ahead and you give up Muhammad Wilkerson, and you take Mike Glennon and a 3rd-round pick. You answered that question of, because you're not going to pay Muhammad Wilkerson. He's gone next year regardless.
He's gone.
Yeah. So you answer that question of what am I going to do with Mo Wilkerson?
Mm-hmm.
You gain a 3rd-round pick in a very, very deep draft for defensive players, and you get a quarterback that has started 16 games in this league and has won games on some awful football teams. I think that's the apropos situation for the Jets. If you do something like that, yeah, you're going to win that division.
And
period.
He's under control for at least another 2-3 years.
No, he's got this year is his only year under contract, but it's only at $4.9 million.
Really?
Yeah, $4.9 million. Whereas Fitzpatrick wants a minimum of $16 million a year. You do that math.
Crazy. Mm. I mean, I guess only. I mean, and Bucko, this is going to sound familiar. Only in America.
Only in America, Don. That's it.
Where you could sit here, be a journeyman all your life, play on 6 different teams, and the only time that you are, above average is with your boy Chan Gailey, and you get to that game 16, and you throw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, dude. He looked plumb awful. Now, he won that Patriots game in despite of his ineptitude.
He did.
The week before. All you had to do was beat a 6-win Buffalo team. That's all you had to do.
Right.
That's it. And you have your worst game of the season at the biggest moment of possibly his career, because he's never really had any kind of game of implication or heavy magnitude ever. He has been a guy that you're like, oh, hell, we'll just keep this until we get somebody else. That's it. That's Ryan Fitzpatrick. For you to have the gall to ask for that type of money, I think it's stupid.
Here's one thing. All last year, all during the season, I'm in the mailroom at my school, and I'm going back and forth with my buddy Roy and Rob. So I'm down there in the print shop, and we're talking about Ryan. I'm talking to Fitzmagic, and Roy, who's a Buffalo Bills fan, he looks at me. He says, Ted, I've seen this guy for 4 years. He's going to fail at the most inopportune time, Ted.
Yeah.
And
the other idiots are drafting him.
Yeah. And I texted him that night when he threw the 3 interceptions. Between the third and fourth quarter, he threw 3 interceptions, and I said, Roy, you told me about this all season long. And it was dead on. I just think it takes a lot to go from asking for this money, because I guess you're seeing what other quarterbacks are getting. You just say, hey, I want mine too. But
he's trying to eat. If a bum like Sam Bradford can keep getting paid, why can't he? But I actually tip my cap, and I commend your organization for not bowing to what has become the market, what has become the standard, is overpaying for average quarterback play. Right. I commend you guys for saying no. You know, the Eagles couldn't do it. You know, the 49ers couldn't do it. There are teams out there that have set this terrible precedent that you guys are bucking, and I actually commend you for it there, Ted.
That's all McCagnon. And love him as a GM, love what he's doing. I know they're going to figure out something with Muhammad Wilkerson, packaging him up and get him somewhere. I want to ask you a weird situation, Bucko. And we saw a lot while we were on the radio together a few years ago. Have you seen anything weirder than the Panthers and Josh Norman and just how that whole situation went down?
No, man, I do remember. Last time we spoke, in fact, you asked me about this guy.
Right.
And I told you he was a couple sandwiches short of a picnic basket. I told you that something is off with that guy. I remember he sat there on that extremely uncomfortable NFL Network interview about 2 weeks prior to him being released.
Yes.
And uncomfortably basically threatened the Panthers and said he would not show up, he would not sign the franchise tag. And dude, you're a 28-year-old, 4-year veteran. Okay? Right. You didn't come in the league till you were 24, and you were awful your first 2 years. You had 2 good years of production. These guys are offering you $12 million a year, and you are unnegotiable, unwilling to work on something. The Panthers were absolutely brilliant for letting him go to Washington because, you know, Washington overpays every single free agent that hits the market. That's what they do. You think they learned by now. But he's a good player. He's a solid player. He's maybe got 3 years left in his tank. And a 5-year, $75 million contract is absolutely retarded. I'm sorry for my language. It is dumb to give that player that money.
Do you remember when Dion was basically done and he signed that 5-year or 7-year, $35 million deal with the Redskins?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep.
For all that they need, now granted, they won the division. It was the NFC least last season. We hope that it gets up, you know, that it's definitely going to be upgraded this year. But to waste, you know, and I hate to even use the word waste, but you got your salary cap, and you're going to burn through $15 million on that specific position.
Oh, it's not just $15 million. Oh, no. The contract is accelerated. He's getting $20 million this year, $18 million next year. No, I mean, he's getting Darrelle Revis money. Now, granted, the last 2 years he has been better than Revis on all counts. I'm not going to lie to you. But the cast around him that provided him that ability to do what he did is not in Washington. And he's facing Odell Beckham twice a year.
That's must-see TV.
I am not betting on Josh Norman having the success he had in Carolina. I'm not.
I'm going to go as far as to say, Bucko, what's the over-under that he completes this 5-year, $75 million deal?
I think he'll get through 3 of it. The first 3 years while his money's accelerated, and then he'll be cut shortly thereafter or be a marginal player. I think you got 3 good years in him. And I know my Bucks in particular were willing to give him his money that he was asking for, but that they weren't going to go 5 years at all. I mean, you're 28 years old.
Right.
Okay, you know, I mean, you don't get that kind of money at that position. There's only Charles Woodson's the only secondary player I can remember playing late in their 30s.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it doesn't happen.
He was an anomaly.
It doesn't.
That's once in a lifetime to play at, you know, to be at that age and be playing at that level. I'm going to say, Bucko, it's 1 year later. around this time last year, it was Mariota against Winston. Who goes first? Who's going second? Everyone's a fool to pick. The Bucks are a fool to pick Winston. Yes, we mentioned earlier on the call that Lovey is not here anymore, but that wasn't because of Jameis. I'm going to say, 1 year later, are you still excited to have Jameis as a Buccaneer leading your team?
Oh, excited is an understatement. It's an understatement. I'm preparing my travel recommendations over the next 3 years to be going down to Tampa for a Super Bowl parade. Okay, Jameis Winston is great. He is great. Okay, anytime you can come in as a rookie and have the best quarterback season in the entire history of the franchise, to have the offense being the best offensive team the franchise has ever had as a rookie, it's unfathomable, man. It's unthinkable. It doesn't happen. Okay? To play every single snap for your team. And granted, we only won 6 football games. But damn it, we only got beat bad twice the whole season. We was in every football game. Stupid coaching errors and terrible defense is the only reason why we didn't win more. So,
I heard with mandatory workouts, this guy's looking good. He's lost a lot of weight. He's got a six-pack. I'm expecting, great things from him this season. I won't ask you now. I'll wait towards, a few more questions to say who wins the NFC South, and I really want you to tell me why the Bucs are going to take the South. But I want to get real quick into the, the mess that happened towards the end of the season. Everyone had the pom-poms up for Los Angeles. Where do you think the Raiders or Chargers will be in 5 years?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I lost. I think the lightning strike messed with me. I heard nothing but static after you said the NFC South. I lost everything.
Oh, no problem. No, I said, where do you think the Raiders or Chargers will be in 5 years?
Well, we already know. We already know that San Diego's in works to get a new stadium in San Diego. I think that's where they'll remain. It's where they belong. Qualcomm Stadium is a crap hole. They got rats that have been there longer than most of the players on the team. So, yes, the Chargers needed a much-needed upgraded stadium, and that city has plenty of money. I think the Chargers remain in San Diego, but I think the Oakland is actually going to end up in Las Vegas. There's a lot of buzz about some prime property that they were going to build a stadium to share with UNLV and the Oakland Raiders, and that way the Davis family only has to pay a small portion, being they'll share it with a state university, so that they'll save a ton of money and have a state-of-the-art stadium in a city that would bring so much revenue. So, yeah, I think within 5 years, the Raiders will be in Vegas. I think the Chargers stay put in San Diego.
So something happened a few days ago. I read a report that the Raiders have over 50,000 season ticket holders. Do you really just see them just leaving Oakland altogether?
Dude, it's only an hour from Oakland to Vegas. You don't think they'll travel?
Valid, very valid. So, want to say this much. We talked about Los Angeles being the crown jewel. Is Dallas is Jerry's world. I guess L.A. will be Stan's world. Crystal ball time. Do you foresee, once they get that stadium, that new stadium built by 2019, do you foresee any, or should I say every external event happening there, meaning do you foresee the draft, the combine, Pro Bowl, basically all events move into L.A.?
No, not the combine. The combine, that's a cold time of the year in the Dome, and Indy provides a great facility for that. I think the combine's safe where it's at. But, yes, the draft is going to – they're already talking about the draft next year being in Philly. Goodell has made it clear that he's trying to move the draft around. He's trying to move stuff like that around to create, more buzz and sell more tickets elsewhere. So, no, the draft will be there. Super Bowls will be there. You know, the Pro Bowl might even end up there. You know what I mean? But, I mean, the Combine's safe where it's at. But, you know, you're absolutely right. There's going to be a lot of migration to L.A. because of the amount of money there, because of the untapped resource that it is.
Do you think Sam Bradford's going to get moved before tomorrow night?
No one's trading for that bum. He's awful. The only team that was dumb enough to pay him was Philadelphia.
What's your feelings about the Jets and Muhammad Wilkerson? Do they move him before tomorrow night?
I think he's moved before tomorrow night. And if he's not moved over this weekend, the Jets are stupid.
I have something here called Man Crush Wednesdays, because you had a man crush on Teddy Bridgewater. Are you still in love with him now that he's in Minnesota and going into – is he going into year 3,
This will be his third year. This will be his third year coming up. And I'm going to hope last year was a sophomore slump, you know, with a new system, with a new, you know, uptick on what they were trying to do, and just some dreadful wide receiver play. I'm going to hope that it was a sophomore slump, what we saw from Teddy last year, because that passing offense was one of the worst I've ever seen, like ever last year. Minnesota was dreadful to watch. They had no plays of any magnitude down the field. All their stuff was 7-yard, you know, dink and dunk, which North Turner is a classic West Coast offense, you know, dink and dunk down the field. But I think Teddy Bridgewater is a very good quarterback. I think he's better than what he played last year. But if what happened last year continues into this year, I'm gonna have to jump off that wagon before it gets, you know, before the wheels fall off of it. Because last year was bad to watch. It was hard. It was tough. But they did win the North, despite of I think they were ranked 31st in the league in passing last year.
Right.
And despite how hard it was to watch, they still won the damn division and beat the Packers in Green Bay in Week 17. That's you know, you got to tip your cap there.
Bucko, if the season starts tomorrow and you had to make some predictions, who wins the AFC East?
AFC East?
AFC East.
Without knowing the quarterback for the Jets, I'm going to have to go Patriots. I mean, that can change. You said if it starts tomorrow would be Geno Smith at the helm, so I'm going to go Patriots.
And that's even with the 4 games, or the potential of 4 games.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo is that much better than Geno Smith. Absolutely.
AFC North, who wins?
I really want to give Cincinnati the nod, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with Cincinnati because I really don't like what they're doing in Pittsburgh. I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
I kind of put Marvin Lewis, and I'm a big fan of Marvin Lewis, almost in the same position, and you're going to slap me, that when we start talking about Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, I'm going to slap you hard for that. That's not even close. Now, they have crapped the bed with it in the playoffs.
Right. But,
I mean, if you want to put it on Marvin, because a lot of times it's lack of discipline, I'll give you that. But, no, Cincinnati has been a laughing stock. Other than the 2 years they had miracle seasons during their history of their team, you know, they made it to the Super Bowl and lost. But they have never had this level of consistency. They've never had this many trips to the playoffs. Granted, they're losing in the playoffs, but they're making it. Now, on a team where the ownership is as cheap as it gets, and you can't, you know, you really can't open it up as much as you want to because you can't even keep your own players there. They let everybody walk out the door because they're that cheap. So I can tip my cap for dealing with that ownership group and dealing with the Andy Daltons of the world and still being productive. You really can't. You can't negatively view Marvin Lewis. You cannot do it.
Can you help me really quick? Because I look at the Cincinnati, the ownership, and I know it's Mike Brown, but he's owner, president, CEO. They effectively don't have a GM, correct? Or is Marvin Lewis,
his daughter is the one that's in charge of all the contracts.
Oh.
So she's basically the GM. I believe it's the daughter and the cousin and Mr. Brown himself. Those are the three core family members that make it the majority of the decisions. Right. And that's what the problem is they are way, way far too invested in the family aspect of it versus the business aspect of it. And that's why they're so loyal to Marvin. That's why they're so loyal to Andy Dalton. You know, guys like that, like, dude, Andy Dalton would have got cut after halfway through his second season on any other team. But he's still sticking around over there. And actually, before he got hurt, he was having a damn good season. So, I don't know. I'm baffled. I have an affinity and love for the Bengals because they still rock the orange. And, you know, I feel bad for them, the lovable losers. But, no, Marvin Lewis is a great coach. I'm not going to, you know, speak down on him ever.
AFC South, who pulls this out?
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Woo! Blake Bortles is another person you used to scream about.
Love him. And
you
Ben
used
Roethlisberger
to scream about this guy like there was no tomorrow. And I'm like, will this guy
he threw for 4,300 yards and 35 touchdowns last year with the worst running game in football. So, hey, I'm still on that Blake Bortles bandwagon. I'm doing it.
They keep picking up pieces. They're
doing so good. They're doing so good. I love Gus Bradley. I met Gus Bradley years and years ago at a football camp when he was an assistant defensive coach for the Bucs under Tony Dungy. I love Gus Bradley, and I hope he has great success.
Oh, my goodness. You were telling me about this. This is 3. That's what I'm saying, Bucko. I give you your props because you are screaming. You were the reason why I knew about UCF.
Okay, yeah. Dante Culpepper put them on the map. Yep.
Oh, my goodness. So, AFC West.
I'm going to go with Kansas City. I don't like Denver's quarterback situation, man. Really do not.
What about the Raiders?
It's the Raiders, man. They're going to find a way to go full Raider with it. They're going to be competitive. They'll be a 500 club.
Right.
No, they're not winning no division. Come on, they're not ready.
So you're saying Kansas City?
Yeah, Kansas City damn near won a division last year.
Yeah, they did. They almost. I'm telling you. NFC East. Whew. NFC least.
Give me the G-Men. I think they draft Ezekiel Elliott, number 10, and completes that offense. Give me the G-Men.
NFC North.
Give me the Pack.
All right. I've been wanting to get to this. NFC South.
You said NFC South?
NFC South.
I mean, you got to roll Cam, man. I mean, dude, as much as I want to be a homer right here, Ted, my schedule is so damn brutal. It is so bad. 4 West Coast trips, man. I'm looking at a 500 team. I'm looking at a 500 team at best for my Bucks. So now I'm going to give the nod to Carolina.
Okay. I mean, you have to. Yeah, you really have to. Because if you look at the gap between the teams in that division was so wide last year. And you know, people would say in the previous years the most competitive division, NFC West.
I'm going to go with Arizona. Love Bruce Arians, my favorite coach. Possibly the best coach in this league.
Got a final question for you. And the final question is about someone we used to crack jokes about. We used to have a good time about because we would say he's the greatest regular season quarterback ever. And that used to just chaff your you-know-what.
Matty regular season. Yes, sir.
We're talking about the great Peyton Manning.
What that guy? I think I'm talking about Matt Ryan.
No. What would you like Peyton's next chapter to be? Analyst, owner, GM? What do you see in your crystal ball for Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning and an ownership group will own the Tennessee Titans within the next 2 years. And, yeah, I see him, as great as he is vocally, great speaker he is, I think the analyst role is beneath him. There's too much work, too much travel, too much for a guy like Peyton. Okay? But, with his business endeavors, he owns 30-something Papa John's. He owns 20-something Budweiser distributorships. He owns car dealerships. The man's net worth, I think, is somewhere over $500 million, something like that. So he personally doesn't have the funds to buy, a $1 billion NFL team.
Right.
But I guarantee you he can get a group together with all them Tennessee alumnus.
Right.
And buy the Tennessee Titans.
Right.
I see it.
I
see it, brother.
It's ripe for the taking.
Yeah, right there. And you're going to get them cheap. That's the least valuable franchise in this league.
He'll get them cheap, and he'll stabilize the ownership just like that.
There it is.
I got to tell you, Bucko, it felt like a homecoming. It felt like a reunion, but reunions are usually for people that don't speak with each other, or they, hey, I'm going to get together with this person every 5 years or 10 years, but you and I, we talk on the regular, so.
Yeah, it's hard to get you on the phone sometimes, but, yeah, I got you.
You were trying to get me last week, and last week was a very hectic week, but we know how to get in contact.
I saw you called. I owe you a call back a week and a half later.
Oh. Bucko, tell us the best ways to get in contact with you.
Very simply. I mean, I'm not on anything but Facebook and Twitter. It's the same, Bucko Bruce 83 for both Twitter and Facebook. Get at me, challenge me. I am very reachable.
Got you. Bucko, I want to thank you for joining us.
Man, I love it. It's always fun. We should do this more often, man.